Okay, so I don't know if everybody can hear me or not, but I do have a live video, first live video I've ever done on Facebook. And if you can see this is just a placemat that I made a couple weeks ago for sorting out the different years of wheat pennies when I thought maybe I'd get a couple hundred that I needed to sort out, whatever. But tonight I stopped at the bank and I picked up a bunch of pennies. I got $32 in pennies and $34 in nickels. And when I did that, the bank teller told me that there were wheat penny showing on the end of one of these rolls. So this one doesn't show a wheat penny on that end, but see, like this one shows a wheat penny on the end, and I said, well, I'll bet you, because I had good luck a couple weeks ago, that there'll be a wheat penny on the opposite end. So he handed it to me. I opened up the end like this, and I looked in there, and sure enough, there was a wheat penny in the other end. And so I flipped open a couple like this, and lo and behold, those were all wheat pennies. So what I think I might have is these 20 rolls have wheat pennies in one end or both, and then there's some other pennies here in rolls that look like they might be something kind of special too. But I'm going to, just for contrast, it's a little dark in here, I'm going to put this sheet out here and open them up. After I open them up, I'm going to keep them separate per roll off to 20 little piles, and then later I'll put them, each of the rolls, in these bags like this. What I've seen in the past is sometimes when they roll them up, somebody's collection, they've got all 1940s in one, and then the next one will be all 1918s or something like that. So I'm going to keep them all together in little groups. But so first roll, I'm just going to do a quick glance at them as much as I can. Grab my flashlight maybe to add a little more light, but you know, yeah, that's fine. A little magnifying glass here too. But 1929, 1925, 1919, 1919, 1919, 1928, 1928, 1927, 1926. Hopefully there's a 1924D somewhere in this pile. But so that's what this one is. That's 50 wheat pennies all told. And I don't know if that light's annoying from that end, but so I'm going to push all those over into a little pile. And I'll do another one here. And like I say, I think I have 20, just guessing. Put that pile right there. So next roll. Well, this one looks like it's all wheat pennies also. Whoa, there's 1910. This one looks pretty interesting. 1912, 1927, 1929, 1929, 1919, 1917, 27, 1928, 1928, 1928, a lot of 1928s in here, 1923, 1917, 1918, 1911. So that's that one. I'll try and whistle through these as fast as I can because it's probably pretty boring to watch, but it's not very boring for me, I can assure you. So this next roll has a wheat on the end, and it's got a 1919 on that end. Obviously it's probably pretty tough to see that, but there's some shiny ones in there as well. So what's going on with these shiny ones? So looks like all the brown ones are wheats and all these shiny ones are uncirculated 1959. So I'm gonna grab those out just for, well, that's a pretty shiny 1958. Just for curiosity's sake, I'll put these 59 uncirculated, and they look pretty cool. Whoops, there's one wheat in there, little rascal. Another shinier wheat. That one's a 56, almost uncirculated. So those were all 59s in here. Looks like 28, 20, 19, 28, 1920, 1920, 1920, 1919, 1920, 1913. Not a ton of variety in here, but there's some oldies. A lot of 1919s in that group. This one's got a big scissor cut on it. So I'll put those in another pile so that I can keep them together in 50 penny rolls. Grab another one here, and I'm going to click my mouse and make sure that I don't know if my video is still working or not. Hard to tell if my live video feed is working or not. In fact, I'm just going to go back and glance at the camera real quick just to make sure that I'm not getting too far into it. Yeah, it looks like it's live. Okay, so back at it here, flopped out another roll, all wheat pennies, and let's see, magnifying glass is too much of a pain. Well, that one is 1909, believe it or not, in almost uncirculated condition, not a VDB. 1928, 29, 18, this one's 1916, 1916 again, 1916, 1945S, 1918, so just a 1912, 1916, 1911, 1916. Oh, there's another 1909. So there might be a few 1909s in this group. This one is not a VDB as well, but 1909. 1910, 1917, 1910, 1917. I'm kind of curious to find that VDBS, 1909. That one can't really read, pretty pale. 1920, oh man, I thought it was 22, but it's 23. 1909, that's a 1909, and not a VDB. 1928, 1916, 1922, 12, 17, 20, 26. So looks like there might be only three. There's another 1910, three 1909s in that group. I gotta turn my light off here. I'll put those together in a group. So that's 4 rolls out of what I think might be 20 rolls of wheat pennies. And there's some other rolls that are quite possibly, one says later on, this one says 1961B uncirculated in cursive. I don't know what B means, but 1961 something uncirculated. And then there's another one that says Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, 50 pennies. And it's got that old Scotch tape like your grandma used to use. So it does have a memorial on the end, so I don't really have a lot of high hopes for that. But there are some other ones that in the same style roll that look to be like 1962 enders. and they look brilliant uncirculated. So this one, I see one memorial in here, which was kind of a sleeper cell, 1972, but the rest of these look like all wheats. This is a 1958 brilliant uncirculated 1958 wheat penny. I don't know if you can see the glisten or not. This one is 1955 D as in dog, brilliant uncirculated. The rest of these look like 34, 1950, 1940, 49, 1960, that's a memorial. 48, 38, 39, 1910. This is just a weird bunch here. So kind of hard to say. These ones look a little newer with some 1958s, 42s, 39s, 46, that type of thing. So that one looks like 48 wheat pennies and a couple memorials. Put that one in a little pile. If this is getting boring with somebody watching, I wish there was a way to get feedback as I'm doing it, but I can assure you it's not boring to me. So this one is 1910. That one is a 1910, 27, another 1910, 28, 18, 22, 1909, non-VDB. So if this guy was going to collect, why didn't he collect the 1909 S VDB? It's beyond me, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy with what I have. 1924, but it is not a D. 1917, 1911, near as I can tell, 1917, 1929, 1920. This one is worn pretty bad, 1909, and not a VDB. 1912, 1928, another 1909, and not a VDB. 1917, 1917, 1910, 17, 1918, 1916, 1910, 1927, so I think I've looked at all that. Not to bore everybody with looking at each one of these, but I'm really kind of excited about finding a 1909 SVDB or a 1924D or a 1931S. All of those would be good. There's a 34, 27, 25, 29. Can't really see that guy. That's a 1909, but worn really bad. 1917, 1909 again. Not VDB. 1913, 1926, 17, 17, 25. Oh, now my light's going to go out, so now I'm just kind of winging it. 1916, 1910. So anyway, that's rule number 24. It's not a D, which is unfortunate. That would be a $50 coin. 1926. So not looking through all of these in great detail, but there's a 1911, 1917, 1929. So there's a full 50 of wheat pennies. We'll put that guy over here in another cluster. I've got all these that I think are either all wheats or mostly wheats. Just looking at the enders on the visible end. Flop this one open. So this one has a lot of 1920. So that is 45 wheat pennies and 5 1959 uncirculated 1959 memorials. I'm going to take these empties and set them over here. I'm going to start a new pile along this edge, make a barrier. So this is roll number 9, I guess it would be, looking at the piles. Looks nice, all wheats. 1925, 1926, 1917, 1917, 1927, 1917, 1929, 1917, 1914, 1928, 1926, 1927, 1928. So there's 50 more wheat pennies. And that would be roll number 9. Here's roll number 10. So this one has a shiny one here. That looks like 1987. Why is there a 1987 in and amongst all these wheats? There's 49 wheats and one 1987 memorial. I don't get it. 1911, 1910. This is an old stack here. 1910, 1920, 1917, 1919, 1924, not a D, 1911, 1910, 1919, 1916, 1925, 1929, 1929, 1919, so that looks like more of the same. So that's 49 wheat pennies and one 1987 memorial in that bunch. This one has a shiny one on that end and a wheat on the other. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a wheat on that end, shiny on that end. Ooh. So this one is bizarre. I've got a 2010 shield penny in amongst uncirculated 1958, another uncirculated 1958, another uncirculated 1958. So these are 1958 Ds uncirculated. 1964 memorial uncirculated. Another 64 memorial uncirculated. So here's a 1958 wheat penny, 1958 wheat penny, and I don't know if you can see the brilliance there, but those are as new as a penny gets from 1958. 1964 memorial, 1958 uncirculated. Somebody is probably freaking out because I'm not wearing gloves while I'm touching these coins, but I'm not like crazy, so fingerprints are gonna come. So at any rate, there's a lot of uncirculated 1958s in here. Looks like all of the brilliant uncirculateds are 1958s, except for, like, there's a 62 memorial and a couple of 64. This is a 1960 uncirculated D, and if I was to look, that's a large date. Uncirculated 58, 50, 58, that one is a 64. So at any rate, this is kind of a mixed bag, but there are some actual circulated wheats in here. 1937, 1936, 1937, 1930, whoa. This one is a 1931 and I want to say it's a D, but I'm going to put that one in my pocket. Well, I better leave it in here or I'll lose it. That one could be a 1931 S, but I doubt it. 1942, 1937, so that one's pretty impressive. There's a few memorials from 1960 uncirculated and 1964 uncirculated, but there's so doggone many of these wheats that are 1958 uncirculated. It's just kind of mind-blowing that a coin could be that old and look that good. So that's those, probably about 3/4 wheat pennies. So looks like that's that was roll 12. This is roll 13. Got a 1918 on that end and a wheat penny on the other. Pennies in that roll number 13. So this one has a wheat penny. I can't tell the end on it. That inside is a wheat. So this one has some really nice 1957 uncirculated wheat pennies. 55 almost uncirculated. A little bit of a tint to it. This is a uncirculated 1955 D. For some reason there's another 59, but there's a 58 wheat penny uncirculated, another 55, 59 memorial. The rest of these brown ones are 1930 wheat, 1930, 1912, 1930, 1920, 1930. Looks like a lot of 30s in here and a few teens. 1930 is the most of that one, to go along with a few uncirculated wheats and only 2 memorials that I saw in that pile. On that, but a wheat on the other end. So this one has what looks like a couple of 1959s uncirculated. The rest are 1928, 1925, I think. Another 59 uncirculated. 1919, 1919, 1919. So it looks like most of this is 1919s, but there might be some mysteries in this one as well. So it looks like 47 wheat pennies and 3 1959 uncirculated memorials. So losing a little bit of track. That was roll number 15. This is 16. Looks like a whole bunch of uncirculated 59s, which nobody really cares about, but I think they're really kind of cool. I was saving the brown 59s as I went anyway, just because it was a cool year. Not that it was my birth year, but my sister was born in 59. So these are all 59s, uncirculated. There's a dozen there or whatever. Looks like 1915, 1956, can't read that one, 1919, 1920, 1920, 1910, 1919, that one's pretty worn as well, 1955, 1919, so a lot of 1919s, maybe I guess about 36 wheat pennies and 12 or 14 of the 1959 memorials. So this would be number 17, roll number 17. And with this, looks like all wheat pennies, 1918, 1920, 1928, 1920, 1919, 26, 19, 18, 25, A lot of 19s and 1926, 1926. So there's 50 of them in roll number 17. I'm going to put these empty rolls over here. Okay, so this one has a memorial on one end, but a wheat penny on the other end. And so looking at it, there's a 1956 wheat penny, brilliant uncirculated. This one is just an uncirculated 63. Here's a 59 uncirculated. Here's a 1953 that is almost uncirculated. Also another 1958 that's almost uncirculated. So 1934, 34, 41, 34, almost uncirculated. Got a little bit of stuff over the date, I can't read that. 34, 39, 34, 39. So it looks like that's mostly mid-30s and a few 39s. So that was 49 wheat pennies and one memorial, or no, 47 wheat pennies and 3 memorials. This one has a 1958 on that end, and on this end 1938. So this one has, looks like a lot of 1960D uncirculated mixed in. That's a 64. But this is 1956 almost uncirculated, and then another 1958 uncirculated. Brilliant, brilliant coin. I don't know if you can see that, but that is awesome looking. But so a lot of 58 wheats in there. The memorials that are in here looks like 1964 D or 1960D. 1960D. For some reason there's a 2002 in here. I don't get it. But if you're going through all that work, why would you stuff a bunch of memorials in here? I get it, the 60s, some of those have errors in them as well. But like the 2000s, just leave the roll empty. Here's a 1981. Probably means something to somebody. Maybe that was his first penny he ever made. So the rest of these are 1946. That one is one of the older ones that's almost uncirculated for an old 1946. 1936, 1941, 53. So nothing crazy in this one. I'm guessing maybe 20 wheat pennies, and well, these are wheat pennies also, I guess. So maybe 25 and 25, or 30 and 20, something. Well, that penny, if I don't get it now, I'm never going to get it. Got it. Okay, so I got 8 over there, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So here's roll number 20. It's got a memorial on that end and a 1917 on this end. And let's see what this does. So the shield penny depressed me right away, but 2013, 1964 uncirculated, 1994 I don't get, 2000 I don't understand, another shield here, 2000, 2017, 2013, 1993, 1997, this might have been the end of what they had going on, 1916, or excuse me, 1960D, 1964D, 1998, I don't get that, 1995, But there are a few wheats in here as well. 1916 and 1915. This one's worn really bad. 1913, 1917, 1911. Boy, these are some thin ones. 1916, 1918, 1919, 1916. So just an odd bunch. Got some new with the old. 1958, there is an uncirculated wheat in here. 1958 wheat, 62, and a few memorials that must have been just filling the roll. So maybe 15 wheats in there, and the rest are all, well, I guess maybe there's 20 wheats in that one and 30 of the modern. But so that was roll 20. I've got a couple other mystery rolls over here that not quite sure. This one says 1961 B or P. Can't really read that. It probably says P. Uncirculated. 1961. Be awesome if it was all dimes instead of pennies, but sure enough, 1961. And I'm going to flop them out here just to see. Oh, so these are all uncirculated P 1961. And that isn't important to me, but somebody may. Dropped another one. Somebody may like them. 1961 P. The other one is this crazy looking roll that says Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis 50 pennies. Blah blah blah. It's got this real funky 1960 Scotch tape on it, and I don't know, I might have to just go caveman on that one. So this one looks like all uncirculated, even though it says, well, it doesn't say anything, but these are all uncirculated 1959 D as in dog. So a couple weeks ago I got a whole roll of 1959 P, no mint mark, and this might be the complimentary rule to have a full roll of D and P 1959s. So then these other rolls had the very similar wrappers, but it looks like a 1962 possibly. Uncirculated. Couple shield pennies in here that blows my mind. 1962 is a lot of them, but there are some uncirculated 1958s. Some 1960, looks like small date 1960. So just kind of a mixed bag. Maybe there might be 10 wheats in that pile. I'm going to put those right here. It's going to take me a month to get all these sorted out again. Grab the empties off here to give some room. This one, I don't know, it's got a brilliant uncirculated end on it. Not sure exactly what it is. Looks like 1962, 1960, 1964, but then again, there's 58s in here, so I bet you I could put a whole roll of 1958 D uncirculated. Probably mint state 63 or 65, guessing. But a few other this one looks like more 1958 uncirculated, but just a few. Looks like a lot of modern 1960. Here's a wheat penny, 1956. So So it doesn't look like anything too glamorous in here. Might be another one or two 1958 wheat pennies possibly, but that one only had a couple wheat pennies in it, and some of those were uncirculated. This over here. So these two are empty. This one's got a shiny one on the end. This one looks like wheat penny, 1937. Couple more wheats, 1936, 1934, 1938, 1927, or 37 rather. So here's a 1958 uncirculated, another 34, another 44, 62, 1960. So that one might have 10 wheats in it, something like that. There's this guy right here. And so this one doesn't look like it has any wheats in it. A 1960, well there's a wheat there just because. Looks like a 1936, a lot of 1960s in there, and a few newer ones. Nothing too special in there, just one wheat penny. But so that's kind of a wrap. I've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 rolls counting that one. I would say a good solid 20 of them, maybe 21 were all wheat pennies, and the other 6 or 7 were kind of a mixed bag. But so that's kind of it. I'm gonna sign out, let you guys get on with dinner. It's been 42 minutes, I guess. Sorry about going so long, but pretty fun. I still have this whole box from the same bank, but it does have a different wrapper, so I don't expect anything too crazy. But I also grabbed $34 in nickels, and there might be some magic in that box. So anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.